So, hello everyone. This is Moika here doing my monthly animation live stream here on Discord. If you are a $10 Patreon, that means that you are able to watch this either live at my Discord or as a recording that I upload every time that I do one of these. This is for the month of August. Wow. Yeah, this year is going fast for me, and that's a good thing. So, today I plan on talking a little bit about a program that I've been learning. This program is called Blender. Blender is a 3D animation program, a free 3D animation program that in its most recent update, it got 2D animation and 2D drawing features. So now you can animate in 2D and also in 3D using the same program. To those who don't know about Blender, let me show you where you can get it. You just have to go to blender.org. And the most stable version is the first one that you can download, and it's the one that's gonna have like the 2D animation settings. So just go here and download it. It's that easy. It's free. It's open source. It's always been and it's always going to be like that. You can always donate if you feel like supporting this amazing like to the developers, to the project, etc. It is like the only way to make income. You can also get it on Steam. If you have a Steam, go to Steam and look it up in there. Okay, so I already have it. I'm just going to go to Blender over here. And by the way, I am not an expert on Blender. I've been only using Blender for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks tops. So I am still discovering a lot about this software. So me doing this whole thing is probably like a way to see how much I know, and also like to maybe prepare myself for like a future Gumbro tutorial on how to do maybe something with Blender or how to get started. But if you are a Patreon, a $10 Patreon, then you are more lucky because you get to see me failing, but but also to see this in advance. So first thing that you're gonna get when you use Blender, it is this starting screen. I highly recommend you for you to keep it, because in here you can already like continue working on your previous files, your previous projects, or you can start a new project. And you have different options. If you want to do like a general 3D, like the one you are seeing behind this, you can go to general. If you want to start right away doing 2D animation, you have the option, and this is going to change this entire workplace. You're about to see this in a second. If you want to go into sculpting, like you will do in ZBrush or other sculpting softwares, you can go into that. VFX, editing, self-explanatory. So we're gonna pick 2D animation, and as you are going to see, this is going to change the entire thing. The entire program is now different. You can always play with this workspace. You can always change things, like you can grab this from here to here. It's highly customizable. I still don't know how to customize everything, but you can change a lot of things. Like for example, here you have like different tabs. Right now I am on the 2D animation tab, where if I start drawing in this canvas, you are going to see me drawing just like that. You can go into this 2D full canvas tab. This is going to like take everything in here away for you to draw in this big canvas. This is highly recommendable for doing like the drawings and not only focusing on that. And then you can go on composition. I have no idea what this does. Something in here, I have no idea. And rendering. This is probably going to show you a render version later. I don't use those ones right now, so you can always like go in here, right click and delete and take them away. And you can always like create a new one, and you can create a new 2D animation or whatever you want in here. So you can always play around with that. Before you even start, the hotkeys, the shortcuts that I use most of the time for Blender are these. Maybe I have them set up to... Let me go and check really quick, and let me put this on the default settings, because I probably changed quite a few things when doing this. So if you want to change your shortcuts, you have to go to Edit, Preferences, and here on Input and on Key Map, you can change any like button that you want, any shortcut, any hotkey that you want. Maybe you are coming from Adobe Animate, Toon Boom, Krita, whatever, and you like you use certain keys to do certain things. Here is where you can change things around. But for me, I'm going to save my keys and restore them back to factory preferences, just to show you the way they normally work. So right now we have this, and yes, this changes like a lot of things. So what I want to do right away is to find a way to move my canvas, okay? So I'm going to Preferences, and if I am not mistaken, yeah, let me check. Preferences, let me go to Move. Let me check around on this. No, what is like a... Let me see on navigation. Navigation, this one. No. Okay. So I'm gonna make things easier for me, and maybe for you. I'm just going to, in here, I'm going to... Let me check this out. Input. Yeah, I'm going to import the preference that I normally use, so you can use them too. So that's gonna make everything more easy for me and for you. Let me check if this is working now. And no, I'm already failing hard. What I want to do is... Okay. Let me check. I'm trying to look for the settings that will allow me to like move the canvas around, like this one. So here it is, like you can move this, and what I want to find is like move the view. So now that I know like move the view is the name that I'm looking for, I am going to Preferences, Key Map, and I'm going to look for move the view or view. And here we go. So right now it's set at middle mouse. No, okay, this one. No. Let me check. Okay. No, not that one either. Okay, so for this to do like this movement, I'm using right now Shift plus, this is a mouse, middle mouse. Okay, so if you hold Shift and you click middle mouse, the wheel on your mouse, you are going to be able to do this movement. If you just hold middle mouse, it is going to do this. And what is going on in here, this is taking you away from your camera view to the 3D, to your 3D scenario. And this is not the most ideal way to do like drawings in Blender, because you can do it. It is not going to be the most like comfortable way to animate. So if you want to go back to the camera view, to your normal view, you have to press on your numpad key the number 0. The number 0 is always going to bring you to this camera, to this locked position on your camera. If you don't have a numpad, and maybe you're working with a laptop that doesn't have a numpad, or a keyboard that is like, a small one without a numpad, you can go to preferences, go to input, and right in here click on emulate numpad, and that is going to make the numbers that are on top of your letters, on top of the Q, W, E, R, T, I, RTY, to those to be the numpad. So now you can use those for to change the camera. And these numbers, what they do is that they are like your camera controls. So for example, instead of like using your middle mouse, you can just use those numbers. Like 1 is going to show you the front view, very similar to the camera. It's going to show you the front view. If I go to number 3, this is going to show you the right view, and this is like the side view. If you go number 7, it's going to show you the top view. And all of these can be also like, if I remember correctly, you can press, right. Well, there's a way to do it in reverse or inverse. I don't know how to do that yet. By the way, hello, Cheese Alfonte, how are you? I just started, so don't worry. You can catch up and then ask your questions about Blender. I'm going to be talking about this program and I am doing like a brief showcase of how things work. So right now, I feel like this background, it is a little bit too bright, so I don't like working on such bright backgrounds. So what I normally do is that I go into these buttons. This one in here, these 4 buttons are like my viewport shading buttons. They are going to display me different kinds of renders on what I am working on. So let me go with pressing 0. Let me go to my camera. And if I click on this one, the first one, if I had, for example, you're not going to notice this, but if I had a cube, let me quickly add like a cube in here. Let me go on object mode, add cube. Like this cube in here. If I press on this one, it is only going to show me like a transparent version of this cube, like the insides of this cube. Like for example, in here, 1 second, let me show a little bit more of this. So, oh yeah, so like this is going to show me like the interior of the cube, If I normally work on this one, this is like the viewport shading. This renders, this can show me like the pencil, the brushes in a normal way. And then you have these other ones. This is like the full render, and this is like one that shows you materials and textures. But when I'm doing 2D animations, I mostly use this one. In here you can also control, by pressing in this button, the color of the background. In order to change the color of the background, just go to viewport in here, make sure this is selected, and change this one. And you can change the color of this background to be whatever you want in this like canvas, in this panel. And by the way, it's going to change also in here. Okay. You can change. One of the cool things about this is like, if you have different views, like let me show you in here, this is independent only to this panel. Now this is a different panel displaying the same thing, but if I change anything in this one, this is independent, so it's only changing on the panel that this is selected on. By the way, what I did there is to do a different panel, to add a new panel. I went to this corner and I dragged this to the side in this case, and this created a different panel. This panel can be different things, like it can be one of these. You just have to go in here and check on whatever you want to use from here. Like right now, to see your drawings, you have to be on the 3D viewport mode. But if you want to maybe bring one of like this, like the properties settings, you can just go in here. In here, this one, and it's gonna bring me one of these. If you want to get rid of one of these panels, click in the same corner and drag it to the right in this case, and that's gonna disable it. That's gonna take it away. So yeah, okay. We're almost ready. So if you always have troubles like using your shortcuts and things, you have these nice icons in here that can help you, like for zooming in, zooming out, and also like for selecting the camera in its different like positions. Like right now, let's say like I am working like this, and I want to go back to my camera, and I don't want to press the number 0. I just have to click on that, and I am going back into that. This icon in here, it is kind of interesting because when you are working in 3D, you can have two modes on how you see your 3D models if you are working with 3D models. Let me create first a new cube. Just to show you, let me delete this and let me create a cube for you. In order to create objects, 3D objects, or even like grease pencil objects, which are the ones that allow you to draw in Blender, you have to be here in object mode. Then you can go to add and add an object in here, or you can Shift A, press the Shift A, and it's going to display you this nice pop-up with the same options. So I'm going to create a cube. Now we have a cube in here. By pressing middle click, I can move around and see it. But the way I'm seeing this cube, it is in perspective mode. Like you can read here, user perspective. I can go on orthographic mode by pressing this icon or by pressing the number 5. And this is going to display this, like this camera, this kind of the camera perspective on orthographic mode. Very similar to all RPGs, And this is the best way to draw in 2D. So whenever you are like drawing, or whenever you're seeing like your object from front view, side view, or top view, it is always on orthographic. It has no perspective. Because if this had like perspective, it will change a lot of things, and it's harder to handle vertices and 3D stuff in that way. Perspective view is useful if you want to get an idea of how this is actually going to look like, But whenever you're doing like 2D animation, you want to go onto orthographic mode. So, okay, so you can change that by pressing the number 5 or by pressing it here. If you want to go with the grid, you're seeing here like this grid. You can disable the grid. You can disable like almost everything that you're seeing, like these lines in here, this camera, and this floor grid by pressing this button. This disables like almost every overlay, so you can like just draw and you can just focus on the content that you are seeing. So by pressing this, you can enable or disable these things. Or you can press in here and enable and disable by each thing. Like cameras are located under extras, so you can disable the camera under extras. Origins, like this little red circle is an origin. Every object in object mode has this little circle. You can, if that annoys you, you can disable it, and just that thing. If you go into edit mode, for example, and then we will talk about draw mode, you're gonna have like different now options for each different mode. When you are working in Blender, you're working on different modes to do different things. Like in object mode is mostly used to move your objects around. Okay, so if you want to move the camera around, you grab it, you press G, or in here with this one, move. If you hover your mouse for long enough, it's going to display you the shortcut in there. So to move things around, you can select it and then press G. Make sure you're using your selection tool. This is your selection tool in here. You can select both and press G and then move your mouse around, and it's going to move things. You can rotate things by doing this one or by pressing R, and it's gonna display you like this thing. You can use these gimbal like shapes in order to rotate things, or you can select everywhere and do it freely. And the same thing with scaling, like this, and transform. Transform is like a mixture of everything I just said. It's like both moving things around, scaling, and rotating. About those tools, before I go into more details, yes, if you press something in Blender and you want to rotate something in Blender, like this 3D object, let's say like you want to rotate it, but it's rotating in this, if you press R, it's rotating in this weird way. Even if you're using this, like you press R and you want to just rotate it on an axis. So when you press R, you can mix your rotation with different keys, with 3 in particular. X, Y, and Z. Those are your 3 axes in your 3D space. So if you press, after pressing R, you press X, this is going to only rotate under the X axis, this one. If you press C, it's going to rotate in a different way under the C axis. And if you press Y, it's going to be on the Y axis, okay? You can also apply numbers. So let's say like you want to rotate this object on the X and you want to do it exactly on 45 degrees. So I press R, then I press X, and then I type 45. And this is going to give me an exact 45-degree angle. You can use minus 45 and play around with numbers whenever you want to do more detailed transformations. The same goes with the rotation, with moving things around. Like if I want to move these things around on the X, on the red one, I just press G and then I press X. If I want to move it in the C, like up and down, I press G and then I press C, and this is going to only move it on this vertical view. Okay, a little break. I know that I am going crazy with this, and this is probably a lot to take, to swallow. It may look hard, but I mean, it is a little bit, especially if you are only used to like playing with 2D programs. But trust me, when I started doing this 3 weeks ago, I was like, fuck this shit. I don't want to do this. It's hurting my brain. But I decided to stick around to continue playing with it. And like after 3 days, I was moving like a, flying like a bird in this 3D environment, switching really fast to my camera. So if you are finding like this to be too much, but you really want to do it, please persevere, because it's the only way to really adapt to this software and to finally do animations on it, and like to do stuff like what I'm about to show you, like my health taker animation. Let me just show you a little bit of on how this looks on Blender. This is an old file, but like this animation in here looks like this, and I am having like a lot of different 3D things in the background. Let me put this on just so you can see like a better view of this. And yeah, this looks like this in this case. So I went from knowing zero Blender, had no idea how to use this software, to doing this full animation in 3 weeks, obviously. But now with everything that I know, I could probably do this in probably like a week or 2 weeks tops. So let me continue explaining more things about it. Let's go back into a new 2D animation file. So again, we are here. This is too bright, so let me go back into this mode, and let me change my viewport a little bit more obscure. When I'm working on 3D, I like to see this grid more, because right now I don't even see it. So if you want to change the grid, the look of the grid, you have to go here on render properties in your outliner, in your properties panel, and under render properties, go to, if I am correct, or maybe it's this one. Give me 1 second. I think it's around this one. Film. Oh no, you know what? It's under preferences, I think. So in here, navigation, no. Okay, so now I'm going to show you something very useful, and this is what I encounter most of the time trying to learn this. If you don't know how to do something, there's this cool website called Google, and you just type what you want to do. So you go to Blender, change floor, grid, color, maybe. And there's always going to be a community to talk you through it. So in this case, it's telling me like user preference, themes, 3D view, grid. So I just go to preference, then it is themes, and then let me look in here for my grid. Where is the grid? 3D viewport, grid, and here it is. So now I can change my grid settings. I can change the alpha number, and now I can see my grid a little bit more. And you can change everything in here. Everything is highly customizable. So now I have a more clear grid. And dude, whenever you encounter yourself with questions, Like, instead of being silly and stupid like me, trying to like find it and spending too much time, just go and Google it. It's going to be way more easy for you to find things around. And Blender has also like this cool thing. If you press F3, you have this search bar. So maybe you want to do something, and maybe you can play with, I'm looking, I don't know, I want to add a cube. And it's going to display you, add a cube. I want to add maybe a grease pencil. I am about to enter into the grease pencil, how to use grease pencil. And you can do all sort of things by using the F3 and the search bar in there. Okay, 1 second, let me drink some coffee. For the people listening to me right now on the live stream, are you understanding this? Is this clear, or is this too confusing? Be honest, please. I know, and I know that it is a lot to take. And yeah, thank you very much, Ahmed. I am trying to do my best, and as I say, like, this is like in preparation to maybe one day do like a full, well-recorded tutorial. There's a cool YouTuber named Blender Guru. Yes, YouTube is like, there's so much knowledge, and I'm going to be honest, Blender Guru, I learned a lot of things from that channel. If you go on YouTube and you search for Blender tutorials and you go through the basics, you are gonna get a lot of insight, especially like the kind of things that I'm doing right now. Lou tells me, I do understand this is technically what I know already, but just need that refresher. That's awesome. Yeah, a lot of people stop using Blender, and this may serve as a refresher. But if you want more like well-prepared tutorials, just go on YouTube and search for Blender Basics. Make sure it's 2.8, because 2.8 is the most updated version. And this one of how to do like this thing, even if you're going to do like a 3D model, this tutorial in here by Blender Guru, it is amazing, because it's going to show you most of what Blender can offer you. So yeah, instead of watching my thing right now, just go and watch that one. But again, let's continue. Because right now I'm not about to talk about 3D. Let's delve into 2D with Blender. So, I told you, like, you can start a project already into the animation, and if you start a project into the animation, this is already going to like give you many tools to draw. Like, you have in here your pencil. Like, if you click on it, you can change to ink. You have this wheel for you to change colors. Let me see, like, yeah, if I go on vertex, this is going to be like a normal color wheel that you can easily change colors. Here you have your eraser. The eraser, like, it is, I don't like the eraser too much on Blender, so because right now it's using this, let me see, this dissolve like setting, which makes it like for erasing to be too slow, and I don't like it. So what I normally do is like I use point, and point is like a more like aggressive eraser. You can use the one that you prefer. You can also, like, when using your eraser, and if you are using like a tablet, a drawing tablet with pressure sensitivity, you can enable or disable pressure sensitivity from here. Okay, so and you can also do the same thing with your brush in here. So this is the size of your brush, but if you disable the pressure sensitivity, it is going to be, you know, without pressure. And you can also do the same thing for the opacity and the strength. So you can mix both of the two of them, and you're gonna have like this result. If you want to erase everything like easily, just press X. Okay, it is not delete, it is not the backspace, it is the letter X, and here you can select everything in this active layer. So here you can begin drawing, and you're going to notice that you have a timeline in here. This is your grease pencil timeline. Let me try to move things around 1 second. Okay. So let's say like you're doing like a drawing here. You go full canvas like I did in there. Go full canvas. And okay, so we're doing like just a simple face, okay? And you're happy with this sketch, you're happy with this rough sketch. And you want to create a new frame. You still have, it is more like minimized, but you still have your timeline in here. Or you can go back into this mode. And in order to create a new frame, you just have to go into a different frame, click, maybe make this little a little drawing, and this is going to create a new frame. And as you can tell, it's displaying the previous frame, because when you start into the animation mode, the onion skin or the light table is already enabled. You can disable it by pressing in here. This button in here enables and disables the onion skin. So let's use it in this case. Let's do like this face to be now looking to the side. Okay. And now we have like these two poses. You can in here change how much you want your animation to last for. So right now it's like 250 frames. Let's bring this back to just 20 frames. The frame rate right now, it is probably at 24. If you want to change your frame rate and even like your resolution, come in here, come to this tab on the properties, go to this one, which is your output, and here you can select like your resolution. Right now it is on the setting that I like, which is 1920 by 1080. And right here you have your frame rate. So this is at 24. I feel like 24 is good enough. And you can also like change the settings if you want. Like you can change the scale in here too. And you can play it with this. Or by pressing, in my case, with my settings, Shift space. You can also change how to play your animation by going into, let me see, well, into your key map. So in this case, play animation, I have it set on Shift spacebar. But remember, you are using my settings that you probably imported from the file that's gonna be attached to this post. If you don't have these options like shift space, maybe you can change it later to whatever you want to use. Okay. To start things out, let's do a quick bouncing ball, okay? Let me show you how to do a quick bouncing ball, and then maybe let's do something more complex. One thing, if you're on your brush mode and you want to switch back to the eraser really quick, hold Control, and this is going to transform this into your eraser, unless you stop holding Control, okay? If you also like, if you're doing like a drawing and you want some like stabilizer, I don't know how to say that word, stabilization on your brush, you can press Shift while you're drawing, and this is going to, like this, going to give you this. It's going to give you like this this assistance to your line by pressing Shift while doing a drawing. Another cool thing before I jump into the bouncing ball, you can like easily, or the way I do it, to like fix a couple things when drawing. Like let's say like, okay, let me do something different. Let's say like I am doing like a figure, and this is also helpful for doing like animations sometimes. Like let's say like I have this figure, okay, and I want to do like, I want to change, I want to move this around. So in order to like to have your select tool to select like this arm and to move it around, you have to go into edit mode. I use the lasso selection, and then I select this like this. I press R to rotate, and then I press G to move it in here. Okay? You can also use a different type of transformation, which is using your sculpt tools. So if you go into sculpt mode, you're gonna have like these different options, like this one in here. This one is to simplify your lines. This one in here, or to smooth your lines, this is to add more thickness to your lines. As you can tell in here, this adds more thickness. This to strengthen your lines, like, oh, this is actually cool, I never use this. I'll probably use this more. This randomizes your lines, like makes it really weird. But the one that I use the most is this graph tool. So the graph tool is like the liquify on Photoshop, and this allows you to like make changes in this way. By pressing F, instead of going here and moving this around, you can press F, or at least that's the tool, that's the key that I have this binded to. Maybe in the factory settings it is different. And with this one, you can like change the size of whatever tool you're using immediately. So yeah, right now this is really weird, but you can do all kinds of things like this twirl, pinching, etc. All right, let's put this guy out of its misery. Let's go back into this, and let's do a quick bouncing ball. Okay. By the way, before I even go into that, or oh no, let's do it. Let's erase this drawing. So a bouncing ball for me always starts with the ball and then with the horizon line, with a background, with a little background. So how do you use layers to do like that background and then to do the ball? Layers where you are on your drawing, on your grease pencil, are located in here, in this section, in this little line that's like this. These are your grease pencil layers. Right now we have the layer. This is the one that comes like predetermined, preset on your 2D animation file. You have lines and you have fields. If you want to do like add like color and stuff like that. Let me change the name. Double click and let me change the name to background. And this is going to be just lines. So by selecting the background, I'm going to do a quick just horizon line like this, and then I'm going to block this. If you want to change the opacity of this layer, you can do it here. Just change the opacity in here. You can either select using lights or not, and you can also like change the blending mode. You have like hard light add, subtract, multiply, and divide. Another cool thing in this section is where you can change your onion skin settings. So first, let's draw a ball. I'm going to show you that later. You're gonna see, by the way, before I even start, that the horizon line is disappearing here. This is because there is like another frame in here. So let me select this frame, press X and delete this frame. Now it's going to be all the time in there. Let me block the line, the background. Let me select my lines layer. And let's draw a ball in here. Just a simple ball. Okay. Now I want to go into my next frame. In here you can use your left and right arrows to go into the previous and the next frame. So I'm going to my next frame. I'm gonna do a quick dot, and this is gonna create immediately a different frame. There's probably a different way to create new frames. I really don't know how to do it. It's probably like, let me use F3 frame or new frame. There it is, insert blank frame. So if I go in here, let me insert blank frame. Oh yeah, and this created a new frame, which for me it is binded to the F7 key. And I want to activate my onion skin. New frame is the eye. Yeah, I changed that to F7 just because I am coming from Adobe Animate, and it's the same one that I use on Toon Boom. Is why I changed it to F7, you know. But the default one is the eye, this one. So in here, let me do this quick bouncing ball. And right now I am seeing only one frame behind. So as I was telling you, you can change this in here. You can change how many frames before you want to see, and you can increase it in here to like a lot of numbers. Okay. And you can also filter what type of frames you want to see, because you have like different frames in Blender. You have keyframes, breakdowns, moving holes, extreme, and jitter. These are going to be different colors that you can change by right-clicking on your frame and selecting it in here. So let's create like an arrow, like a keyframe like this one. It's going to be a yellow. And let's say like my other keyframe is going to be, let's squash position. And let's put this one on yellow. Okay, let me check. R. Okay, so they were keyframes as default. So if I change the other ones, like at like breakdowns, or maybe even better, well, there's no like in-betweens name, but right now, since these ones are keyframes, yes, this is only going to display me this frame and not this other two. You know, let's put like a plus sign just to show you that these ones are different. So right now this is only displaying me the keyframes on my onion skin. And this is very useful, especially when you are dealing with a lot of poses, a lot of keyframes, and you don't want to see like all of this, you know? You only want to maybe see your key poses. So you can use this like hierarchy, this way to organize your timeline. But the way I normally animate bouncing balls, it is very straightforward, so I just go from one frame to the other. But let's do like a quick trick. This is probably like cheating. If you want to animate this more easily, you can just like go to your next frame, go on sculpt mode, and if you have like this one, this grabbing one, you can just move it. You can also do this on your edit mode by just going here and just moving things around. But I like the sculpt mode a little bit more because it kind of changes the shape a little bit. So, and just continue moving into another frame. Next frame, and every time that you move this is going to create a new frame, okay? And let's go, like right now if I move this like this, it is gonna change the mesh too much. So I'm gonna increase this so it doesn't do that. Okay. And let's add more of this. By the way, if you are watching like the replay of this and you don't know, I stream on Twitch almost like at least like 4 times a week, and I'm going to be using this program way more, and that's the best place to ask me questions and to also like see me figuring things out and learning along with me, because most of the time I'm looking at YouTube tutorials and trying to figure things out in there. And I also have like a lot of people in the chat, they always know how to use Blender better than me, and they are always giving good advice. So right now let's do this final and stretching thing only by using this sculpt mode. Then let's do the squash pose. So I am not even drawing right now. This is sacrilegious. I know, I'm sorry, but I am just trying to show you, you know, like the features that this program has and the things that you can do with it. It will probably take me less if I was like freaking drawing everything, but here you go. And now let's copy all of these drawings. By the way, you can grab this and have a better view of all the frames. You can, let me check. This is something that I've never done, but let's try copying these drawings. Copy. Then let's go to this 10 frame and paste. And you know what? This is going to, let me check. Yeah, Blender has like a weird glitch that when you paste something, at least this happens to me, it never plays immediately. And right now this is obviously playing in the same way as I copied, but here there is this option, paste flipped. I don't know what this is going to do, but let's find out. Maybe this is going to... No idea what it did. I'm trying to look for a way to reverse this frame. So let me grab them, control click, and let's say if there is like a way to invert this animation. Oh, okay. This is funny. I did it. But you know what is funny like about Blender? Well, it's not funny, but it's weird. If you press, like, you can change the length of this by using also like the scale command or the S letter. So by using the S letter, you can stretch these frames, but also you can use like the S and then type -1. You're going to see like over here in this corner, put your eyes in here, you're going to see this thing. If I put -1, this is like doing like a reverse scale. So this is actually flipping my drawings. But you know what? That's too complicated. Just go in here, go on mirror, and click the first one by times over current frame, and then grab this by pressing G and put it in here. I never done that, excuse me, but yeah, that's the way that this is now a loop. Let me change this to 16 frames and let's play it. And that's it. Very simple. Very simple indeed. You can grab frames as well by just holding the click button or by selecting them and then pressing G to move them around. Let's say like you want to move this entire thing around. Go into object mode, and this is an object. Your entire animation is an object like this. Okay, and let's say like you want to animate this, like moving from here to here, but still be animated. You want to do the following thing. Go first, grab this thing that is in here, which by your surprise is another timeline, but it's a different timeline. This is very important. When you are dealing with grease pencil objects like this one, where you are drawing with Blender, you are using the dope sheet. Okay, yeah, this sheet is dope, the dope sheet in here. So make sure if you want to see these frames, if you ever like realize like these frames disappear, like you are not seeing them anymore, just make sure that you are selecting your grease pencil, which is in here, this one, and then you are on the dope sheet mode, and in here you are on grease pencil mode. Okay, because if you are in another one, it's not going to display your keys or maybe anything, but if you are on grease pencil, this is where you find your keys. And you can also use the timeline. This is your timeline, and the timeline is for like moving objects entirely. So let's say like you want this to start in here, press I to create a keyframe. So this is going to be a location keyframe. And right now, since I created with I a keyframe, or I just go in here and I right click and I put insert keyframes. But this never works. It is weird. Anyway, I keyframe, and then I go to maybe frame. Let's make this longer. Let's make this to frame 50, and I move this around to with my X button, my X axis button. I move this around in here. I make sure to press I again, because if I move this around and then I come back in here, nothing happened because I didn't key it. I didn't put a keyframe on it. So move it and then go in here. No, I and press location or available. I think this one is like for everything. So this is what happened. It made this effect. Cool, right? But something is happening. This is not like continuing. The animation is only doing this and then is on this locked position, right? There is a way to change this, that I just learned about today. By the way, another cool thing, you can press this button in here, which is the auto keying button. So if you want to things around and for them to like create a key immediately without using the I letter shortcut, just press this, and wherever you are, if you move even something like this around, it's going to create a key immediately. So let's like you put it in there, it created this immediately there. Okay, so make sure to always check if this is enabled or disabled, because maybe you're working and you're making all these moves and it is like recording everything. So be careful with that. So how to make this bouncing ball continue bouncing the entire time? If I remember correctly, you have to select the bouncing ball. You have to go in here to your panel and select the graph editor. The graph editor is going to display you this thing in here. But go on draw mode, if I am not mistaken. You know what? Let's use the power of... Yeah, now let's use the power of YouTube again. Grease pencil, loop animation. Okay, here it is. Use the time offset modifier. Custom range set to frames you want to look. Okay. So let me check. Modifier. Time offset. And keep loop. Oh, nice, 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 nice. 16. Let me see. Custom range 1 to 5. Okay, 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 okay. I think I am about to. Yes. Now check this out. I'm going to explain you this in a second. But now this is looping. So here's a thing with grease pencil and some effects that you can apply to your animations on Blender, to your grease pencil animations on Blender. There's this option in here where when you are on draw mode, when you have your grease pencil selected, you go on draw mode, you have these options. So here you have your layers, you have your onion skin options, here you have your colors as well, but in here, this little icon, the modifier properties, I don't know how to say that, you can add different modifiers to your animation, and they can be really weird. Like for example, there's like this noise one. The noise one can like change the way your whole animation looks like. Let me... Yeah, like, I don't know what it's doing, but it's doing something. Like, if I disable it, you can tell it changes. You can even apply this only to one specific layer, like only to the bouncing ball by pressing here, like influence filters layer, or you can even apply it only to like a certain material or a certain color that you are using. It can be very specific. You can change the thickness to your whole animation. Like, yeah, let's make it more thick. Yeah, the thicker, the better. And you can also like put it only on the bouncing ball. So now it's like super thick. But we want this to loop, okay? We want to do like a little loop, and we want this to continue looping. So by having this selected, go to modifiers, add a new modifier, and use the time offset modifier. Make sure you are checking this using a custom range. So for example, if this whole thing lasts for even longer, let's say like 87, like we have like an 87 frame 87 frames on our timeline, but our animation is only 16 frames long. Change this to 1 to 16, so that's going to keep this animation looping only to this 16 frame, like this. 1 second, you know, so it's only looping in there. If I was to change this and I will put like 7 in here, the loop is going to stop at 7 and it's only going to replay it on the frame 7. So if you want to loop your animation, do it in there. And remember the influence layers, you can apply this only to the bouncing ball. Well, it moved the whole thing because this is on an object. But if, for example, if the background line had like a different animation, that's like playing, like that weird thing that I just did. Right now, it's only looping my ball animation because I only have like this layer selected. But if I disable and I just like put the background animation, then it's only going to loop that background layer. And if I just don't select anything, it's going to loop everything. Okay, so make sure that you can play with the number. Let me delete this monstrosity. And you can, I don't know, you can change many things in here and this modifier. You can also put it in like reverse mode. Well, it's going to be the same for this, but yeah, you can play with this modifier a lot. And I think you can make it like maybe loop a certain amount of times. I don't know what pass does. Yeah, so this is going to make like the loop. Let's increase it to maybe 3. Now, I don't know what this does, but if you keep it on 0, it's gonna play the entire time. Hello, old man. So, this is it. Oh, by the way, old man, I have... I'll take questions and everything after the session is over. But yeah, we made this. We made this bouncing ball loop animation. If you want to change, again, the way this moves in here, you have to go to your timeline in object mode. And you can change this in here, like you can stretch the amount of time that it takes for this to reach this position. Or you can go crazy. You can have auto key mode and fucking change everything around. And like for a butterfly, for example, something very chaotic in movement. You can change your keyframes and make them go everywhere. You can also change the style of your interpolation. So right now this is on linear mode, and you can change your easing mode. So easing mode, it is like if you want to add an ease in, an ease out. So let's say like we want to add like an ease in. So this is going to be really smooth in the end. Or you can do like both, automatic, or maybe ease in, ease out. And you can always change things on your graphic editor, but I'm not going to explain this right now because this is way more convoluted than what I've been explaining before. So yes, I know that I probably said that I could probably do like a walk cycle thing, but maybe we can leave that for a future tutorial because that's going to maybe make things more complicated. I just wanted to give you like a kickstart, like a first idea on how you can use this program. There's definitely a lot more to cover. But yeah, I wish that for the moment this was useful to you. And I do plan on using this program a lot more in the future. So when I feel ready, I'm going to make like a proper tutorial with sections, with times and everything. One last thing that I want to talk about before I go, and I want to create like a new file. You can always start on 2D animation, but you can also start on this general thing. And if you start in here, Blender is going to give you like these options. It's going to give you like a camera, a cube, and a light. If you go into this mode, you can play with the light. Okay, this is the 3D mode. If you want to create like a grease pencil object in this mode, you can delete everything. You can go in here on add. And in order to create a grease pencil object, you have to select grease pencil and either select blank or stroke. You can put monkey, and monkey is going to give you like this little monkey in here. What is the difference between these different types of grease pencil objects that we have in here? Blank, stroke, and monkey. They are the same thing. They are the same grease pencil, but they make you like a different setup, a different start setup. So your blank version is going to create a blank grease pencil object that has like no colors, no layers. Like if you go in here, you have no layers, you have no colors in here. You can draw, yeah, but you're not drawing in like a layer, so you're starting from zero. So you just have to create a layer in here, and if you want to create a new color, you go on this option, create new color, and now you have this color. If you want to change this color, by the way, just go in here, and here you can change this color. All right, so that's the difference, or that's the blank grease pencil object. As a matter of fact, let me create different grease pencil objects. Like this is one. Okay, very cute. Let's create now a stroke grease pencil object. So the stroke grease pencil object starts with already quite a few colors like black. You have, let me go into draw mode. Remember, if you want to draw, you have to be selecting your grease pencil object and you have to go on draw mode in here. So now I'm selecting this color, etc. Oh, you also have like this one. Let me explain you this one. Why is it like this in a second? And you have your lines and colors layers separated. Okay? And the other one, this is like the demo thing that Blender always includes is the monkey. I think it's Susan. Susan is her name, I think. And the monkey, if you go on the monkey and you go on draw mode, you will notice that this is already set up with two layers and all these colors. How to apply fills, how to paint, how to use the paint bucket in grease pencil. By the way, before I go into that, you will notice each one of these are different like files, are different grease pencil objects. Each one has different layers. Like if I change the name to like whatever, this one has these lines. This one has the one that I just changed in the layers, and this one has this GP layer by default. They also have their own color palettes. So this one has these colors and this one has this color. So I like that. It kind of like makes everything more organized, so you are not dealing with too much on your own timeline on everything of this. So like if you're working like with two different characters in a 3D environment, you can like have different setups for each one, and like different like also like different modifiers, like we just talked about before. Like you can change the thickness for just one and not for everyone, and on all that cool stuff. So, and before I go into the other part, the cool thing about Blender is like, all right, you are learning Blender in order to do 2D animations, but if you also take the time to learn 3D on Blender, you can mix the two of them. You can do like things that you can do in 3D, but with your 2D objects. Like, let me show you a really quick example on that with this Susan thing. Like, you can make like 3D rigs by using 2D objects like this one. So I'm going to create a lattice. A lattice is like this box that you can put into like whatever you are animating. It can be a 3D object or a 2D object. And the lattice right now, it is not attached to the monkey. So let's say like we want to attach this monkey to this lattice. You can go in here, you can select your grease pencil, add modifier. In modifier, select lattice, and then in here you can use this and select it like this, I think. Make sure it is, yeah, like this. Select the lattice, and now if you go into edit mode to your lattice, check this out. You can change, you can like move it around. It is not changing the drawing, you are just moving this lattice object. This, for example, a lattice object can be subdivided in its options. In here, you can make like different subdivisions to perhaps make more complex changes, you know. You can also, with the lattice on your modifier, you can make it so it only applies to a specific layer. So maybe I just want to change the colors, the fills. So let's try it out. Like right now, you're only changing that layer. The other layer is not being changed. So you can play with that, and you can do all kinds of things with just knowing a little bit about 3D in this program. So how to color things? Let me delete everything here. Go and create a grease pencil. Let's create a stroke grease pencil. Let me go on my dope sheet and grease pencil in here. Let me go on drawing mode. And let me delete this point. Let's create like this. The fill tool is a tool that I don't like too much, to be honest, when using Blender. But let me see, okay. But in order to use it, you just have to create something like this and then select this tool. But what happens if you want to paint this like black? You're not going to paint anything in here. Why is that? Let me go in front mode, okay. Because you're still using the material for this black line, the same that you're using for like for doing your drawing. You're kind of painting with a line. So the only thing that you are painting, if you select this, it is like a line in here, you know? So if you want to fill this drawing, you have to select a material or a color that has the fill option, like this one. And right now this is like covering the whole thing because it is a little bit too thick. And maybe because I am also like in a different, yeah, in a different background. Let me check this out. Okay, but it's something like that. How to create a fill color? Go to your colors. Let's say like, let's create a new color in here. It's going to be red dot fill. And you have two options. You have the stroke, which you can put in red in here. But you also have like this fill option in here. So here is where you want to put like that fill color, in this case red. And it's like if you paint in this, like I'm doing this quick drawing, if you use your brush, it's going to create like this now. If you have this selected, it's going to create a border on your stroke. You can just deselect it and it's not going to display anything, just the fill color. So that's how you create fills to use them on your paint bucket. And the weird thing when you are using the fill tool is like if you are working like in this 3D environment and you make like you paint this in here like this, your camera right now is displaying this very well, but if you just move the camera, check this out. It is weird, right? That's why it is not recommended to work on to work colors in a perspective mode, but rather go into your front mode and paint it like that. But right now my entire drawing is like that flipped, so that's because when I draw it, I was like drawing in this perspective position. So for example, and this is the final tip before I finish this. Let me select this tool. Let me create a grease pencil file, a 2D animation file. So okay. So in here, let me create really quick this circle. Want strength, okay, like this. Let me like this, okay. So let's say like you want to draw in 3D mode, but you don't want like, for example, you want to draw like a face in here, like this. But what happens when you move the camera? Well, in this case it's working, but normally when you are working, make sure to have this in front mode or in side mode or in wherever point you're looking at. Why? Because if this is in view mode, and you draw like this, like I was doing before, this is being drawn from my perspective right now, like this, you know? So it is drawing like from my perspective. So like every time that you're drawing, like you're doing like things, you're going crazy like this, and you want to maybe move this around and put the eyes in there, check that out. It's like an optical illusion. It's weird. How to always how to always draw in like a canvas, in an static canvas, by playing with this, by using in this case front mode. So what does this does? What does this do? Sorry about my English, by the way. This makes everything be in like an orthographic, perfect orthographic mode of the front view. Okay, so if you have this and you're drawing like these details in here, it is always going to be in that view. It is not going to go in here crazy. Like for example, like in here, like let's say like I want to draw something in here, like in the background. No, it is there. You know, it is really weird. So like that. If you want to know what's going on, where this invisible wall is happening, go in here into these options in overlays and check this option, canvas. This is where your canvas is right now. This is where you are actually drawing, and this is extending to the entire, like to this entire place. You can change this canvas by going in, let me see, I think it's around here. If you go to your grease pencil object data properties in here, and on viewport display, and let me see, yeah, here you can change something. You go in here in canvas, you can change the color of your canvas, the color of this grid, and you can also scale it and maybe add more rows or move it around. So now you're always seeing it. With offset you can move it. So like now you always know where you are drawing. If you go on free mode on view, you're going to see the canvas always in front of you, and if you move your camera around, the canvas is going to move with you. If you go on side mode, now the canvas is here. And if you go on top mode, now the canvas is here. But what if you want to draw like, I don't know, in here, like you want to draw on top mode, but you want to draw in here, like in the floating space. Like right now, check this out. It made this drawing, this really weird drawing, but you want the drawing to be like around here in top mode. You can move this around by using your 3D cursor, this thing, your 3D cursor. If you select this tool, you can place it. Let me see. You can place it around, but in order to see it, you have to go here on overlays and enable 3D cursor. So right now, check this out. Check this 3D cursor out. And now your 3D cursor is here. You can also change it by pressing Shift and right click. Your 3D cursor is here. And in order to move this to this place, here where it says origin, place this option, 3D cursor. And this is going to move your grid and whatever you're drawing into that place. And you can change it to front view and just to move it. And you're going to be drawing where your 3D cursor is located. Make sure not to move it around too much. What else? Oh man, so many things to talk about. So right now, yeah, this is it. I have so much other things. Like when I was doing that health taker animation. Oh, I learned so much stuff that I am seriously going to need to do like a whole put notes on what it needs to be talked about and put them in order, because like when you are working on Blender, uh, every solutions every solution brings a new problem, and it goes like this in an endless cycle. But I hope that by this tutorial today, I don't know, I caught your interest, and maybe you are more ready than before to do stuff in Blender. But I kind of must apologize if this was not as, as um, if this was like too improvised, because it kind of was. This was kind of like a demonstration of me trying to explain, but also remember everything that I've been learning about this program. Give me 3 more weeks, and I'll probably be way more experienced at it, with more things to talk about. One last feature that I really want. Shit, this is endless. But alright, this is the end. This is the end. If you have like a cube, and if you want to draw on this cube, like with your grease pencil, and if you want like your drawings to be inside of this cube, go in here and select surface, and check this out. Now you are like drawing on this cube, and this looks very 3D, and it's also like not touching the cube entirely. So go on surface and change this. Press shift to make small changes. Maybe a little bit more, like maybe 50. Maybe a little bit more. Let me check this out, so it doesn't look too weird. 100 maybe. And yeah, now you can actually like draw on this, like this. You can do the melting clock drawing, Ahmad says. Yeah, yeah, you can do like the melting. Yeah, like who was that? Dali? Yeah, Dali has nothing on us. Like we can do that shit easily now. So yeah, that was another cool thing like that I really enjoy about Blender. And then you can go crazy with it. You can do so many things. It has so many things to offer, but also it's a little bit hard to get the grasp of it in the beginning. So what is my recommendation? Do some 3D tutorials, get comfortable with moving around in a 3D space with maybe not drawing yet, but maybe doing like 3D, 3D objects, and then like start drawing, then start doing 2D animations. And you don't have to do it. You don't have to do things too complicated if you don't want to do 3D. But learning a little bit about 3D is going to make your 2D journey in this program way more easy. So that's it. Right now, this is the end of the recording, and if you are on my Discord, I'm gonna take some questions, either related to this or whatever you want to discuss. So always make sure to tune in into my Discord once a month when I do this. All right, take care, everyone. See you on the next one.